What's going on, you guys? Welcome on back to the channel. Now, the new episode for ReZero Season 4 is officially here, and with it comes, honestly, one of my favorite episodes of the season, solely because it's able to recapture the feeling of Season 1. Now, when I say it recaptures the feeling of Season 1, what I mean by that is simply because it's able to take what worked with Season 1 with the mystery aspect, something that we've honestly been missing for a very long time, and it's integrated so perfectly into this episode. Like if last episode was like psychological horror for Subaru, this episode kind of feels like it's taking a different approach and we're now doing like a who done it mystery. I love that so much. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk about this brand new episode for ReZero Season 4. So, we pick up where we left off last week, where we see Subaru step out into the desert, and then immediately he's attacked, and he essentially goes underground like the watchtower again. What I love so much about this is we've essentially gone back to square one, right? We're essentially right back where Subaru was starting to lose his mind the first time, and it sets up everything so perfectly for what's about to happen next. So we see him get to essentially where he was stopped last time, where you see he's able to open all these different like walls open with just by touching them with his hand. And then he gets to the same one where he was stopped last time. And once again, he starts to lose it a little bit. And then when he goes to headbutt like the door, like he ends up back in the watchtower. And what I love so much about this is this is where Subaru essentially is like, okay, I have to kill everybody in order to make it out of here. Because what's interesting about this version of Subaru is Subaru doesn't know anybody here, right? Subaru is essentially operating under the pretense of these people like are all hiding something from me. Like they all like are honestly he thinks they might be out to like kill him. So he wants to take them out first before they can do anything to him. So what I love is when you see Subaru start to go up the stairs. This is the scene that I've honestly been waiting for because we're seeing like the aura monster is what everybody has been saying, right? So we see him go up the staircase. We see him start to ascend. And as he starts ascending, he slowly starts to lose more and more of his mind. He's slowly beginning to slip. And what I love about this so much is the voice acting. I know a lot of people, like, I guess when this scene came out, a lot of people weren't liking it because a lot of people liked the light novel version better, or even what like edits that they saw. But what is so great about this is Subaru's voice actor, like, absolutely nails the scene, right? In both sub and dub, they nail this scene. But what makes it so much better is even though you don't get to see like Subaru's face like as he's slowly losing his mind of how he wants to kill everybody in the group, we have kind of like these images of everybody like with nefarious looks on their faces. Like we have one with Julius, we have one with Anastasia, we have one with Beatrice even, and it's all to show like how Subaru essentially views everybody in this party, right? Even though everybody was putting on like he thinks everybody was putting on facades in front of him, right? And he thinks they all want to kill him because like he's literally just been getting killed every loop. So naturally, he assumes somebody's out to get him and he can't trust anybody essentially. So he is now lost his mind, right? He's lost his mind. He finally gets up to the tower and he's ready to kill everybody. And right when he's officially locked into that mindset, he sees Shaula, right? He sees Shaula like utterly like brutalized on the ground, and we see him essentially keel over and throw up. So I like that moment solely because even though Subaru has lost it a little bit, like that that old version of him is still there, right? Somebody that doesn't want to commit like these heroic, like I guess, vile acts, but he feels like he has no other choice. But what I love the most, dude, is when he runs into Patrasche. Last episode, like I had my big critique was it felt like the anime was mitigating like how important Patrasche is to Subaru. So what was great about this whole, like, I guess maybe 3 minute segment is that we essentially got to see Subaru and Patrasche's bond on full display, right? But what hurt too was when Subaru is just breaking down in front of Patrasche, where he's basically talking about how like he can't trust anybody, and then he goes and he stabs Patrasche. But what is so good about and powerful about that scene is Patrasche shows no reaction, right? She just keeps looking at Subaru. And the reason for that, in my opinion, is that she loves Subaru like unconditionally. Like she knows Subaru is going through a hard time, so she's willing to essentially take this damage from him in order to allow him to properly process what's going on with him. But we don't get to stay in that moment for too long because the smoke starts to happen, and then we see Patrasche do like honestly one of the like greatest acts in the entire episode. We see her outright save Subaru. We see her knock him into the wall, and then you see a moment with Subaru where he screams out "lizard," and then what's so great about that moment is you see this version of Subaru realize, wait, there is somebody here that actually cares about me. Not everybody here is looking to kill me. And that is such a turning point, in my opinion, for Subaru and his character. Because when he gets to the tower, like you see that he's kind of like distraught over what's happened, like as soon as they get outside. And then what I love the most is when he's outside and you just hear him go, "Who like are you?" And then what I suspected, like ever since last episode, I talked about it, but I didn't think it would actually happen. We see Rem. Like that was insane to me. I don't know how Rem is actually like up and about doing things, but we see Rem and we essentially just see Rem say, "Better luck next time, hero," or "Figure it out next time, hero." And then she just cuts his head off and a new loop starts. And dude, that whole loop, can I just say, that whole loop is so good. I didn't give it proper justice, but everything about that loop is so good. Seeing Subaru slowly lose his mind, seeing the staircase scene, seeing him lose his mind even more, talk about how he wants to kill everybody, like it was just such a good loop. And then now we're officially back where we started again with Emilia and Beatrice. But what's so good about this scene is like it's played out completely differently. Like Subaru still thinks everybody is out to kill him, so you see him essentially go to choke Emilia before he's stopped by essentially Emilia asking like, "What are you doing?" So that's interesting. You're seeing that starting to kick in because he in this version of Subaru's mind, he can't trust Emilia, he can't trust Beatrice, he can't trust anybody except for Patrasche. What I love so much about the beginning of this loop is he goes and he hugs Patrasche, right? He goes and hugs her. You see Beatrice is even a little bit jealous, but what's so good about that scene is that like it highlights like essentially Emilia is saying that oh they have such like a deep bond and you can see it. I love that they're finally like showcasing it a lot more. But you see Subaru like hug Patrasche. But what's a small detail about that scene that I love is that Subaru is rubbing the spot where he stabbed Patrasche, showing that he has remorse for the actions that he did in that past loop. Even though Patrasche doesn't remember it, he remembers it. He remembers stabbing Patrasche, and he's essentially rubbing that spot so that way. I think that's him like saying he's sorry in that way. I love that scene so much. But what's so good about this loop is I said it before at the beginning of the episode, but we essentially now have a who done it mystery. So where we are now with this loop and what's interesting about it is with the previous loops in this segment, Subaru has divulged the fact that he's lost his memories and he doesn't remember anything that's happened, right? In this loop specifically, Subaru has gone out of his way to not tell anybody that he's lost his memories. And what he's trying to do here is he's trying to gather information because within all these previous loops, Subaru is operating essentially blind, right? Because since he doesn't have his memories, he's essentially operating blind. and it's making him an easy target to essentially be killed and starting over and over again. So what he's doing here, and why I love this so much, is he's able to play detective, right? He's trying to figure out why essentially he's being killed. Like, what is it that someone doesn't like what is it that he knows that someone doesn't want him to know, and why they keep targeting him. So I love that so much. And what I also like too is it makes Shaula more of an important character, but we'll get into that in a minute. But one thing that I liked was Subaru like pulling Julius to the side and essentially having a one-on-one conversation with him. Julius, I think, sees it as one way where he wants to talk about like what happened last night with Echidna, but in my opinion, Subaru here is using this as a way to gather information on Julius, right? He's trying to see if Julius has like any motive for wanting to kill him. So him and Julius have this whole conversation where they talk about Echidna, and you can see that Julius is still like processing everything, right? You can tell that he's still upset at the fact that Subaru knew all this stuff about Echidna, and that like Anastasia's knight, didn't know anything about it, right? He knew nothing about it. Subaru knew all of it. And he's still processing the fact that Subaru knows that. But as we all know, this version of Subaru has no idea what Julius is talking about. And it's interesting because you're seeing Subaru like trying to piece everything together as Julius is talking. Like as Julius is going through everything that happened last night, we then see the conversation and Julius basically being like, I don't know how I would have reacted if you apologized to me for what happened last night. And what I think that means is I think Julius would treat that as kind of an insult, right? Because as we know with Julius, his honor and pride as a knight is so important to him that I think if Subaru apologized to him that night, he would have taken it as like belittlement, and maybe he would have tried to fight Subaru. I don't know. Because like in their last interaction, everything kind of felt like it was hanging by a thread, like before Subaru lost his memories. So I think if Subaru apologized, like I said, he would have treated that as belittlement. He would have treated that as Subaru thinking he's above him or something like that, or trying to spare him again because of everything that's happened to Julius. So I think that's actually a really interesting like take on it. Is like Julius is ready to snap, in my opinion. Like Julius is ready to snap, but he's trying to hold that back. So I love that scene a lot. And then when Julius walks away and he leaves the room, you see like Shaula pop out of one of the crates. And what I loved about this scene is like we're basically getting confirmation that it looks like Shaula can like take away people's fear or something like that. I don't know if that's one of her powers. I don't know if that's something I missed, but it looks like Shaula has the ability to essentially take away people's fear and essentially allow them to be more confident, like when they're confronting somebody or something like that. I don't know. Maybe Subaru just wanted a calming presence too, since Shaula views him as as his master. Maybe he just wanted a calming presence in that moment. But aside from that, what I also loved about that scene too is that Subaru gives Shaula the hug that she has been wanting for so long. And what's so good about this scene is that Shaula, throughout essentially this entire arc, has just been looking for acceptance, right? She's been looking for acceptance from Subaru because she views him as her master. Even though Subaru like isn't her master or anything, she still views him as that. And she's just been looking for acceptance, craving approval, and she finally gets that in that moment from Subaru. And when Subaru gives her that hug that she's been wanting for so long, the look on her face, man, like that was honestly such a heartwarming moment. Like, even though we know there's something deeper going on with Shaula, especially from last episode, where we now know that she has some kind of transformation, like, what I love so much, man, is just seeing the look of just pure happiness on her face, essentially. That was such a good moment. And like I said before, man, Shaola's voice actress in dub and sub like knocks it out of the park every time with her portrayal of Shaula. Like even the dub version too, like they kind of lean more into the comedic aspects of Shaula. I like that a lot. But the voice actress they have for Shaula in sub, like they have Power's voice actress, and dude, she's just putting on like the performance of a lifetime. Even when they don't give her a lot of lines to work with, she still crushes it. Like this was such a good Shaula episode. But another thing too that I liked about Shaula is like we didn't get to see her transformation, right? All we really saw about Shaula was that she essentially was like broken down, but or she was like brutalized, but we saw that she transformed. So I wonder what happened with Shala in that moment. Like, why didn't we get to see what was going on there? I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's going to be cool. But moving on from that, or no, actually, there's one more thing that I want to talk about Shala. I liked when Subaru was talking about how like he can really only trust, I guess, Patrasche in that moment. Shala's like, oh, I don't like that lizard. I like what he said to Shala in that moment, where he essentially is like, oh, don't. I think it was he doesn't want anybody to talk bad about Patrasche, and that's actually really good growth for this version of Subaru because, as we know, he doesn't trust anybody. So the fact now that he has this trust for Patrasche because she went out of her way to save him, that's such a good moment. I love that moment. It's a smaller moment, but it's one of the best ones of the episode. Now, the moment too that I want to talk about is here right at the end of the episode. So we're finally here. We see essentially Subaru talk to Meili, right? And this Subaru and Meili interaction starts off so good because you essentially see that Meili was eavesdropping on Subaru talking to himself about how he can't trust anybody and how he just wants to go somewhere with Patrasche because she's the only one that he can trust. And what's so good about that scene is when Subaru is sitting down, right? And you're seeing Meili kind of talk about like her mother and Elsa. You're starting to see, I'm at least starting to see everything starting to fall into place, right? Something is going on with Meili. I don't know what, but we essentially see Meili get up, go up to Subaru, and she kind of does like the lick or the lip lick thing that Elsa always did. And then, dude, you see her say, "So, how much of what you said yesterday was true?" And that was one of the craziest lines to me because it shows that at least somebody in this like group knows about return by death. Like Rem seemed like she knew about return by death too when she was like figure it out next time hero. Now we're getting something with Meili where it feels like she might know too. And then as soon as Meili says like what she says about like the line about yesterday, we then see like this crazy hard cut where we see things like silhouetted in black and white. And then like what I also really liked was, I thought was a cool choice, was like you kind of see this static like shock thing, or like kind of like this, like, you know how like when a TV cuts out and like you see like the red and yellow and stuff like that. That's what they did. And it's so good because the way that they frame it, you then see Subaru like in a room by himself. And then he looks over and he sees Meili's body just on the ground, dead. Like that scene was so good. You see him start to like give mouth to mouth to her, to like try to bring her back. But what made this even better was when he looked down and he saw that it said on his arm, Subaru Natsuki was here. And now we have essentially like this grand mystery now beginning to unfold. I cannot wait to see what happens next. This feels like prime season 1 ReZero, where we have a mystery that's carrying us through like pretty much the duration of the season. I love this so much. And it just makes you wonder, like, what's going on here? Is Rem behind this? Is Meili up to something? Because Meili said all this, and then it immediately hard cuts to like her just dead on the floor. So did Subaru black out and kill her? Like, does Meili know something? Does Meili know more than she's letting on? Like, what is going on here? Like, the possibilities for where they could go with this arc now are literally endless. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. But I think that's going to do it for me. So let me know what you guys think. How did you guys feel about this episode? Is there anything that I might have missed that you guys think should be talked about? Let me know down in the comments. I'm really looking forward to discussing this episode with you guys because this is one of my favorite episodes. Like, from finally getting to see the staircase stuff to essentially seeing like this whole mystery now beginning to unfold, ReZero is like in the best spot that it's ever been in, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. So, with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, I'm going to talk to you guys next time. Bye.